Hello, we are going to take a look at the case problem analysis from Chapter 40. So Chapter 40, we took a look at more detail about the corporation and how it operates, the responsibilities of the directors and the officers. So this problem will help to illustrate some of those points. Now the problem I've chosen to do, it is very similar to one of the problems in your textbook. The problem in your book that it's very much patterned after is problem 40-2. Going to switch over to the problem now. Let me read through it with you and we'll just proceed to look at the questions. Star Guild Inc. has approximately 500 shareholders. Its board of directors consists of 3 members, Duong, Eckert, and Flores. At a regular board meeting, the board selects Galliard as president of the corporation by a 2-to-1 vote, with Flores dissenting. The minutes of the meeting do not register Flores's dissenting vote. Galliard begins work and essentially works without supervision from the board for 6 months. At that time, during an annual audit, it is discovered that Galliard has embezzled $500,000 from the corporation that is not covered by insurance. In addition, when this information is discovered, the board ordered a detailed criminal background check on Galliard and discovered that he had a prior conviction for theft and fraud. Are directors Duong, Eckert, and Flores personally liable for this loss to the corporation? So let's proceed through the questions. The first few are, basically some questions about the law and the facts that we have in the pattern. So let me scroll down a bit. I'm sorry I had to kind of move so I had a better position to do this, but I'll try to move back. All right, so number 1. The directors of the corporation are considered to be blank of the corporation. So which word fits best? Fiduciaries, officers, or trustees? This is a new term that we've been learning in the last chapter and in this current chapter, fiduciary. So let's insert that here. Yes, directors of a corporation are fiduciaries. What's that mean? It means that they act on behalf of the corporation and should be put in the corporation's interest before their own. Fiduciary. Number 2, the directors owe Star Guild Inc. the duty of care, which means that they are to act, is it ordinary, honestly, or perfectly? Well, no one acts perfectly. So the best answer here is honestly. They are to act honestly. All right, next section, exercise care of A or N. Is it ordinarily prudent person, honestly prudent person, or perfectly prudent person? The term we're looking for here is an ordinarily prudent person. And third, act in the blank interest of the corporation. Is it act in the ordinary interest of the corporation, honestly interest of the corporation, or best interest of the corporation? And so the term here would be best. All right. So directors owe Star Guild Inc. the duty of care, which means that they are to act honestly, exercise care of an ordinarily prudent person, and act in the best interest of the corporation. Number 3. Directors have a duty to make, is it informed, absolute, or perfect decisions, which includes conducting an investigation before making a commitment. Right? What type of decision? They have a duty to make informed decisions, do their due diligence, look into questions before deciding. Right? Second part of number 3, directors can or cannot legally make decisions without adequate research. The verb we want is cannot. They cannot make decisions without looking into the context or the circumstances. right, number 4. Generally, directors can or cannot be held liable for negligent acts that cause harm to the corporation or its shareholders. The general principle is that directors can be held liable for their negligent acts within certain circumstances. Number 5, generally, directors have a duty to exercise reasonable, detailed, or occasional supervision over officers and other employees. Directors have a duty to exercise the reasonable supervision over officers and other employees. Number 6, allowing Galliard to work for 6 months with no guidance or supervision likely was reasonable or not reasonable. Well, they hired Galliard to be the president, right? That's not reasonable to just let him have free hand and no supervision or guidance. Number 7, because directors are assumed to act as a unit, a single director who disagrees with the board may, let me move this up a little bit, may dissent to, compel, or articulate a board decision. The director who disagrees may dissent to the board decision, and that dissent should be noted in the minutes. Let me scroll up a little bit more. All right, number 8. Directors also can avoid liability under which of these rules? Business judgment rule, limited director liability rule, or informed decisions rule. In this chapter, we were learning about the business judgment rule. What's this rule say? The next sentence will describe it for us. With this rule, directors will not be liable to the corporation or to its shareholders for honest, ordinary, or everyday mistakes of judgment and bad business decisions. Directors will not be liable for the ordinary mistakes, honest mistakes of judgment and bad business decisions. Going on to talk more about the business judgment rule. Number 9, the business judgment rule requires a director to take reasonable, extraordinary, or intense steps to become informed on a matter. Reasonable steps to become informed on a matter, to have a rational, a correct, or an extraordinary basis for a decision. To have a rational basis for a decision just needs to be thought through, all right? And to decide without any conflict of interest, hesitation, or debate. The answer is conflict of interest, right? So these two questions, 8 and 9, encapsulate what is meant by the business judgment rule. All right, let's look at numbers 10 and 11. All right, number 10, Flores' best argument that he should not be held liable was because he dissented in the vote, agreed with the vote, or abstained or did not vote, participate in the vote. He dissented. That's his argument, that he dissented. Number 11, Flores did or did not have his objection to the vote to hire Galliard noted in the minutes. It was not noted, and that was the mistake that Flores made there. Flores did not have his dissent recorded. Let me scroll up a little more. Right, number 12. If a board member's disagreement is noted in the minutes, then that director generally is not liable, is liable individually for those decisions. So if a board member disagrees, if it's noted in the minutes, that director will be then not liable individually for the decision. All right. Number 13, to satisfy their duty of care, the directors should have conducted a thorough, cursory, or brief investigation of Galliard. Well, yeah, in hindsight, yes, they should have conducted a thorough investigation of Galliard. That goes without saying, and evaluated alternatives before making a decision. Right, number 14, to satisfy their duty to exercise reasonable supervision, the board should have or should not have set up a system to oversee the new president during the first few months. Yeah, they should have had something in place, some process in place that they could oversee his work. And then the last question in this exercise, number 15, given all of the above facts, a court likely would find that Duong breached or did not breach his fiduciary duties. Well, he's one of the members of the board, and he voted to hire Galliard. Yeah, he's breached his fiduciary duties. How about Eckert? Well, he's done the same thing. So he has also breached his fiduciary duties, and Flores has as well, despite the argument that he dissented. He did not completely follow through with that dissent and have it recorded, so he will bear liability personally for having hired Galliard, and Galliard now having stolen $500,000 from the corporation. All right, we're going to switch now to the what if exercise. So let me close this out and put the second half of this up on the screen. Open it up for you. All right, roll it up a little. All right, what if the facts were different? Assume that the minutes of the directors' meeting accurately reflected Flores' dissenting vote. Flores lives across the country from the headquarters of Stargild Inc., but did attempt to reach Galliard by phone a number of times during the 6 months before the audit found the embezzlement. Flores also attempted to talk with the other directors about Galliard's performance. All right, so this is a very good contrast to what we read in the original set of facts. Right here, you see what a director should have done in this context if he had qualms or concerns about hiring Galliard first, and then continued to monitor what Galliard was doing with the corporation. That would be fulfilling his obligations, the director's obligations to the corporation. All right, so let's just answer the questions. Flores is considered to be a what? Fiduciary officer or trustee of the corporation, right? A fiduciary of the corporation. Flores has a duty to make, is it reasonable, perfect, or informed decisions, and to exercise reasonable, perfect, or informed supervision, informed supervision. All right, he has a duty to make reasonable informed decisions, and to exercise the reasonable supervision. Sorry, I got those a little mixed up. All right, so has a duty to make informed decisions and to exercise the reasonable supervision. Let's look at number 3. It is clear or unclear that Flores had information on the prior criminal activity when Flores voted against Galliard. Based on the facts that we have here, it is fairly unclear whether Flores had any information about Galliard's criminal background. Look at number 4. Flores did or did not dissent in the vote. Well, yeah, he did. And his vote was recorded under this set of facts, right? So it's in the minutes. Number 5, Flores likely is or is not personally liable for the hiring of Galliard. Well, because he recorded his dissent in the minutes, Flores is not going to be personally liable for the hiring of Galliard. Number 6, Flores did or did not attempt to contact Galliard during the 6 months of Galliard's tenure with the company. He did attempt. And did he or did he not attempt to talk to the other directors about Galliard's performance? Well, from the facts, we know that he did. Right? All right, number 7, a court may, could not, would never, okay, those are your choices, find that contact to be an attempt at reasonable supervision. Court might find that, may find that. So that might help Flores against any personal liability. And let's look at the last question, number 8. If that is the case, then Flores did or did not violate the fiduciary's duties and would or would not be personally liable. All right, so filling in the first blank, Flores did not violate the fiduciary duties and he would not be personally liable. All right, pretty clear given the two exercises for the case problem analysis. You have two different sets of facts and two different outcomes. This finishes the case problem analysis for chapter 40, and we'll be moving into the next chapter soon.